We're here today in downtown Exeter, and this is a wonderful example of a traditional compact development community in the state of New Hampshire. And one of the things that I find fascinating about this downtown is that it was built on the premise of horse and carriage. It was before cars existed, and what we've learned in the last 100 years or so of the Industrial Revolution and automobiles and everything else is that there's a lot of value to having that compactness. We have the ability to move all over the place with cars, but we've learned that living in places that have a real sense of character and walkability and the ability to go from your home or your apartment down to get a cup of coffee or to work or whatever is a really valuable character trait that we've lost in the suburbanization of America.
Ben Frost and Roger Hawk, two of New Hampshire's leading experts in town planning, got together recently to talk about why Exeter is a good example of a New Hampshire town that both preserved its historic downtown and encouraged new development that complements and strengthens the community.
I think one of the most important things to recognize is that we have people living in the downtown area, and that gives a constant level of activity. Even at nighttime when the shops are closed, there are people still there. There's a real sense of life in the community that's very important. And as you look behind us, you'll see a lot of vehicles moving around and also a lot of pedestrian activity, because people live here, they walk around from place to place because they have the opportunity to.
Exeter is the quintessential New England town, founded in the early 1600s.
Sylvia von Aulich is Exeter's town planner, responsible for blending Exeter's living past with its potentially vibrant future.
One of the unique things you can see is the different roof line. How fun is that? So the buildings, you can see the history in itself. 1860, 1770.
Bringing buildings back to their original character is part of what makes New England villages so unique, because they're the genuine article.
Yet at the same time, we don't want to stifle innovation and growth, so we have to allow for some level of innovation, whether it's new construction or rehabilitation of existing structures, to accommodate changing economic needs, because business owners will go to places where it's easier for them to build and conduct their business. And if a municipality has regulations that make it really tough, they're going to look elsewhere. Exeter has done a really good job at encouraging continued economic growth and activity.
Exeter's willingness to be innovative is apparent in the Squamscott block, a new building on Water Street in the heart of downtown.
Downtown, specifically the downtown area, has been very stable. It does not change. So the concern of how this would fit in, what sort of people would be living here, what sort of businesses would come, those were huge concerns.
While many towns shy away from proposals for workforce housing, Exeter's town boards have long supported a diversity of housing options.
Exeter Planning Board, a 12-member board, they realized that the subdivisions that they were approving, they could not afford to live in those subdivisions. That was very important. It's not that they were feeling they were living in poverty, but how can they consider their own children staying here in Exeter when those homes were going from $450,000 a house to upwards of $650,000 and more.
An opportunity to put ideas into action came along when the owner of a parking lot on Main Street came in to talk to Sylvia about what the town would like to see there.
So we walked over here and we said, this is what we think can happen. A parking garage of 2 levels with no internal ramps, taking advantage of the elevation differences. And then we want definitely businesses on the first floor, on the street level, and then residential up above. And that was how it started. From there, those representatives found a developer that was interested in doing an affordable housing component. So it's been so perfect. But it was a long process. This had to go in front of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. It had to go in front of Planning Board. But, you know, the developer persevered. The activity on that side of the street was very limited, obviously, because it was sort of a hole in the fabric of the streetscape.
The Squamscott block is a planner's dream because it's urban infill or downtown infill, it's mixed use, it's mixed income, it's architecturally consistent with the beautiful buildings you have here in Exeter.
So it reinforces the character of the Main Street.
Yeah.
Myth busting, that there would be just so much traffic and parking generated from this development that people would not be able to even move up and down the street. Not happening, not at all. Myth number 2, that it would bring an unsavory element because of the affordable housing component, and some unsavory characters would come into the town and we'd have higher crime. I'm not hearing any sirens. That didn't happen.
The whole idea of creating workforce housing, which allows the community to have a variety of housing options, not just low-income apartments or $2 million homes, but a lot of stuff in between that can be comfortable and affordable places for school teachers and firefighters and municipal employees and people that staff businesses in a community.
Right, and this really is the backbone of our labor force.
Yeah.
In many communities, people worry about the impact that new development will have on schools.
There's a real negative bias against families with kids because, as you all know, given the tax structure in this state, kids equal cost to schools equals more money into the town budget. And what we have found and actually known for a long time is that single-family houses generate the highest number of children per house, and 1- and 2-bedroom apartments or condominiums generally produce fewer children per household.
People also worry about the impact that new development will have on municipal costs.
If you're having to grade and plow and pave hundreds of miles of road that are only serving a small percentage of the population, that costs the municipal budget quite a bit of money. But if you can have all of those, or the vast majority of those businesses, residents located in close proximity to the village center, you're saving a lot of money in highway department road budgets, school busing costs. It just goes on and on.
Just one block back from the bustling Main Street, downtown Exeter presents a different side of itself.
I think one of the wonderful things about downtown Exeter is the fact that it's on a river that connects to Great Bay, and they've been able to take advantage of the waterfront.
It's just a minute's walk from the bustle of downtown. We've got a very quiet place, a space where people can come and just have some quiet time and watch the water. Or right across the river, you've got old mill buildings that have been converted to residential uses. It's a wonderful addition to the downtown, to Exeter. Every town, every community has some sort of asset like this that they can tap into. And it might require some careful, thoughtful planning. It may take years of redevelopment and conscious planning, but it is well worth the effort.
One of the other advantages of trying to encourage compact growth in and around town centers is that you can then take the pressure off the less developed areas of the community, and that enables you, a community, to preserve its rural spaces, that rural landscape that people, I think, all over New Hampshire so highly value.
So while growth, like it or not, comes to New Hampshire, the kinds of places we choose to build are up to us.
So growth might be inevitable, but ugliness and bad design is not.
Right.
And it's up to good planning and a thoughtful effort to come up with something that looks really good and provides a place where people want to live.